Namaste everyone. Today in this video we'll talk about the dipole moment. That is, what is the dipole moment, how molecular structure affects the dipole moment, and what are the different applications of the dipole moment. So without any delay, let's get started. Dipole moment. Now what is dipole moment? In our previous videos, we have studied that we have two different types of covalent bonds, polar covalent bonds and non-polar covalent bonds. Now, in polar covalent bonds, the bonded atom have different electronegativity. In polar covalent bond, the bonded atoms have different electronegativity, whereas in non-polar covalent bond, the bonded atoms have same electronegativity. The bonded atoms have same electronegativity. For example, if I talk about HCl, now both hydrogen and Cl has different electronegativity, therefore the bond between them is a polar covalent bond. Similarly, if I talk about HF, the bond is again polar covalent bond. But if I talk about H2, Cl2, O2, then here the bonds are non-polar covalent bond because the bonded atoms have same electronegativity. Now, the dipole moment is related to the polar covalent bonds. The dipole moment is related to the polar covalent bond. Now, what is dipole moment? Dipole moment is the product of the magnitude of positive or negative charge and the internuclear distance between the positive and negative charge is known as dipole moment. Now, what's the meaning of the definition of dipole moment? That dipole moment is the product. It is the product of the magnitude of positive or negative charge. Now, from where this negative and positive charge will come? Let us consider HCl. Now, in HCl, both have different electronegativity, as a result of which chlorine attracts the shared pair of electron towards itself. In our previous videos, we have studied about electronegativity. So, due to electronegativity, chlorine attracts the shared pair of electron towards itself. Due to attraction, what happened? Chlorine acquires slightly negative charge and hydrogen acquires slightly positive charge. So, in the definition, positive or negative charge means these positive and negative charges. So, the dipole moment is the product of the magnitude of positive or negative charge and the internuclear distance between the positive and the negative charge. The internuclear distance between the positive and the negative charge, that is known as dipole moment. And the dipole moment is represented by mu. It is represented by mu. And where mu is Q into D. Now, what is Q here? Q is the magnitude of the positive or the negative charge and D is the internuclear distance between the positive and the negative charge. Now, the SI unit of dipole moment is debye, which is represented by capital D. The SI unit of dipole moment is debye and it is represented by capital D, and 1 debye equals to 10 to the power minus 18 ESU centimeter. If the charge is expressed in ESU and the distance is expressed in centimeter, then 1 dBi equals to 10 to the power minus 18 ESU centimeter, or 1 dBi equals to 3.335 into 10 to the power minus 30 coulomb meter. If the charge is expressed in coulomb and the distance is expressed in meter, then 1 dBi is equals to 3.335 into 10 to the power minus 30 coulomb meter. So, dipole moment is the product of the magnitude of positive or negative charge and the internuclear distance between the positive and negative charge. It is represented by mu. Its SI unit is dBi, and 1 dBi ESU centimeter is related by this equation, and dBi and coulomb meter is related by this expression. Now, this dipole moment is a vector quantity. Now, you have studied that we have two different types of quantities, scalar quantity and vector quantity. In scalar quantity, those quantities which have only magnitude, those quantities are known as scalar quantity. For example, speed is a scalar quantity, distance is a scalar quantity. So, if we talk about scalar quantity means the quantity which have only and only magnitude. But vector quantities are those quantities which has magnitude as well as the direction. For example, if we talk about displacement, so we have magnitude as well as the direction. Similarly, dipole moment is also a vector quantity, means dipole moment has magnitude as well as direction. And it is represented by an arrow. Where the tail is pointed towards the positive charge and the head is pointed towards the negative charge. So, if I draw the dipole moment in this bond, then here is the HCl. So, the dipole moment is like this. Where the tail portion is towards the positive charge and the head portion is towards the negative charge. Why? Because the negative charge is taking the electron from the positively charged atom. That's why arrow is towards the negative charge atom. So this side head and this side tail. So this is the introduction of the dipole moment. Now we will study that how molecular structure affects the dipole moment. That is how the structure of a molecule affects the dipole moment. First of all, we will take the diatomic molecules. We will talk about the diatomic molecules. Now, diatomic molecules are the molecules which are made up of only two atoms. And if we talk about the dipole moment, then both the atoms should have the different electronegativity. Then only we get dipole moment. Otherwise, we don't get the dipole moment. So, in diatomic molecules, the dipole moment of the molecule is exactly equal to the dipole moment of the particular bond which is present in that particular molecule. The dipole moment of the diatomic molecule is exactly equal to the dipole moment of the bond which is present in that particular molecule. Suppose if I talk about HCl, in HCl is a diatomic molecule and both have different electronegativity. So the dipole moment of HCl is 1.03 dBi. And if you calculate the dipole moment of this bond, the dipole moment of this bond, then the dipole moment of this bond is also 1.03 dBi. So the dipole moment of the diatomic molecules is exactly equal to the dipole moment of the bond which is present in that particular diatomic molecule. But if I talk about the polyatomic molecules, in polyatomic molecules, the dipole moment of the molecule is different from the dipole moment of the individual bond which is present in that particular molecule. The dipole moment of the molecule is different from the dipole moment possessed by the individual bond in that particular molecule. For example, if I talk about H2O, its structure is like this. In BSCPR, we have studied the structure of water. Its structure is like this because it has two bond pairs and two lone pairs. Now, in this, because oxygen is more electronegative than hydrogen, so the dipole moment is towards the oxygen. Similarly, here also the dipole moment is towards the oxygen. Here, when we have lone pair, then the dipole moment is directed towards the lone pair because the lone pair is free to move. So here, this side, and here, this side. Now, in this case, the dipole moment of the molecule is 1.84 divide, but this dipole moment is not equal to the dipole moment of the individual OH bond. This dipole moment is equal to the resultant dipole moment of the two OH bond. So in polyatomic molecules, the dipole moment of the molecule is not similar to the dipole moment of the individual bond, but in diatomic molecule, the dipole moment of the molecule is exactly equal to the dipole moment of a particular bond. Now, in polyatomic molecules, if the molecule is not symmetrical, it means if the molecule is not surrounded by all the bond pairs, means if there is a bond pair and lone pair, then there is a dipole moment in the molecule. But if the molecule is surrounded by all the bond pairs and all the bond pairs have same atoms, then still though we have a dipole bond in the molecule, but the overall dipole moment of that particular molecule becomes 0. Clear? Let us take one example. CO2, carbon dioxide. In VSCPR, we have studied the structure of carbon dioxide, that is, its structure is linear, like this. Now, the carbon is attached with the oxygen. And because oxygen is more electronegative than carbon, so there is a polarity difference between these two atoms. And if there is a polarity difference between these two atoms, then there is a dipole moment between the carbon and the oxygen. And if there is a dipole moment, then the molecule should be polar. Because if there is a dipole moment in the molecule should be polar. But this molecule is non-polar. Means, though we have a polar covalent bond, but after that also the molecule should be non-polar. The molecule may be non-polar or may be polar. Now, what is the reason behind this? In this, the dipole moment is towards this direction. Now, in this, we have double bonded oxygen. Here also we have double bonded oxygen. Means in both the side, the atoms and the condition around the carbon is same. As a result of which, the dipole moment become equal but different in the direction. Here the dipole moment is this side. Here the dipole moment is this side. Means magnitude is equal, but the direction is different. And due to the different direction, the overall result becomes 0. So both the dipole moment nullify each other and the resultant dipole moment of this molecule becomes 0. If there is a question that is the CO bond in a carbon dioxide molecule is a polar, The answer is yes, because CO bond is polar, because oxygen is more electronegative than carbon. But if the question is CO2 is a polar molecule? Then no, CO2 is not a polar molecule, because in CO2 the two dipole moment cancel each other. The two dipole moment cancel each other. Similarly, let us take one more example, that is of BF3. That is of BF3. BF3. The shape is triangular planar. This we have studied in BSCPR. The shape is triangular planar. Now, because fluorine is more electronegative than boron, so the dipole moment is towards fluorine. Here the dipole moment is towards fluorine, and here the dipole moment is towards fluorine. Now, because this dipole moment is in one direction and these dipole moments are in different direction, so when we calculate the resultant dipole moment of these two by vector addition, you have studied in the physics that how we can do the vector addition. So by vector addition, if we find the resultant of these two dipole moment direction, then we get a dipole moment in this direction. Then we get a dipole moment in this direction. This is the resultant dipole moment of these two boron-fluorine bond. This is the resultant dipole moment of these two bonds. And because the compound is surrounded by all bond pairs, because of this, the resultant dipole moment of this is equal to this. The resultant dipole moment of this is equal to this, as a result of which the dipole moment becomes 0. As a result of which the dipole moment becomes 0. If I replace this fluorine, by chlorine, then we get dipole moment in the opposite direction, but the magnitude of this dipole moment is not equal, as a result of which the total dipole moment of the molecule is not equals to 0. So that's why I am saying from the starting that if the central atom is surrounded by all the bond pairs, or if the central atom is surrounded by the same atoms, surrounded by the same environment, and then the dipole moment of that particular molecule may be equals to 0. Maybe or maybe not, it depends upon the shape of that particular molecule. Similarly, if I take one more example, that is of methane, the most common example. Methane, we have studied that the structure of methane is a 3D structure, because two bonds are in the plane, and one of the bond is above the plane and the other bond is below the plane. Then what happened? In this also, because CH bond, carbon is more electronegative than hydrogen, though the electronegativity difference is not so much, but still the carbon is more electronegative than hydrogen, and because carbon is more electronegative than hydrogen, so the bonds are shifted towards the carbon. Now, because bonds are shifted towards the carbon, then what happened? We get dipole moment, and we get dipole moment like this. Now, up from downward, the dipole moment is in one direction, but upward the dipole moment is in 3 direction. So we calculate the resultant dipole moment in upward direction. The resultant dipole moment will this, suppose. Now, because the carbon is surrounded by all the hydrogen, so the dipole moment downward and the dipole moment upward, both the dipole moment have same magnitude but different direction, as a result of which the total dipole moment of the methane becomes 0. So, though there is a polar bond in methane, but the overall dipole moment of the methane becomes 0. But still, but if I replace one of the carbon with chlorine, then the dipole moment is not equals to 0, because now the carbon is not surrounded by the same type of atoms. So in diatomic molecule, the dipole moment of molecule is exactly equal to the dipole moment of the particular bond. But in polyatomic molecule, it is not necessary, or it is not there that the dipole moment of the molecule is equal to the dipole moment of the individual atoms, dipole moment of the individual bonds. In this case, if the central atom is surrounded by same type of atoms, and if the shape is like that, so it may be possible that the dipole moment of the molecule should be equals to 0, now there is a special case in dipole moment. Suppose there is a question for you that if we have NH3 and NF3, if we have NH3 and NF3, in both the case the structure is pyramidal. Means if I draw the structure of NH3, its structure is like this: NH3, one lone pair, and NF3, one lone pair. Means the structure is same. Central atom is nitrogen. Now, if I ask you that out of these two molecules, in which we get more dipole moment, out of these two molecules, in which we get more dipole moment. Now, on the basis of these information, what is your answer? On the basis of these information, what is your answer? Can anyone? Now, this is NH3, in which there is a bond between nitrogen and hydrogen. Here NF3, in which there is a bond between nitrogen and fluorine. Now, because fluorine is more electronegative than hydrogen, so obviously it comes in our mind that fluorine is more electronegative than hydrogen, so the NF bond is more polar than NH bond. And if NF bond is more polar than NH bond, then the dipole moment of NF3 is greater than that of the NH3. It is obvious. The more the polar bond, more is the dipole moment. Now fluorine is more electronegative than hydrogen, so NF bond is more polar than NH bond. As a result of which, what happened? NF3 has more dipole moment as compared to NH3. But NH3 has more dipole moment as compared to NF3. Now what is the reason behind this? Look, here the dipole moment is towards nitrogen, towards nitrogen. Because nitrogen is more electronegative than hydrogen. Here the dipole moment is towards fluorine, and towards fluorine. Because fluorine is more electronegative than nitrogen. So the net resultant dipole moment of these three bond is upward, and here the net dipole moment of these three bond is downward. Now if I talk about this, the dipole moment is towards the lone pair. Now in case of NH3, both the dipole moment are in same direction. So the net resultant moment is the sum of these two dipole moment. But here the net resultant moment is the difference of these two dipole moment. Therefore, the dipole moment of NH3 is much larger than the dipole moment of NF3, though NF is more polar than NH. Still the dipole moment of NH3 is much greater than that of the NF3. So in this way, the molecular structure affects the dipole moment. Now we'll study the applications of the dipole moment. The first application is in determining the polarity of bond. Now suppose if I have HF and HCl. Now which bond is more polar? Though we can say with the help of the electronegativity difference also, but with the proper experimental value, we can prove that yes, this bond is more polar than the other one. Now the dipole moment of HF is 1.78 dBi, is 1.78 dBi, and the dipole moment of HCl is 1.03 dBi. And if I talk about HBr, its dipole moment is 0.78 dBi. So with the help of the dipole moment values, we can say that HF is more polar than HCl and HCl is more polar than HBr. So with the help of the value of the dipole moment, we can easily find out the polarity of the bond, that which bond is more polar and which bond is less polar than the other bond. So this is the first application of the dipole moment. Now the second application of the dipole moment is in determining the symmetry of molecule. In determining the symmetry of molecule. Now in polyatomic molecules, if the molecule is symmetrical, then the dipole moment of that molecule is zero. For example, CO2, for example, BF3, for example, CH4. In these case, for example, PCl5. In these case, the dipole moment is zero. So if the molecule is symmetrical, we are talking about the polyatomic molecules. Now, what the meaning of the symmetrical molecule means? The central atom is surrounded by only bond pairs, and in that bond pair it is attached with the same atom. That is a symmetrical one. So if we have symmetrical molecule, then the dipole moment is equals to 0. And if we have asymmetric molecule, then the dipole moment is not equals to 0. So if we are getting the dipole moment for a particular polyatomic molecule, it means that molecule is not symmetrical. And if we are getting zero dipole moment for a particular polyatomic molecule, means that polyatomic molecule is symmetrical in nature. Clear? So with the help of the dipole moment, we can identify the symmetry of the molecule. Now, third difference is distinguish between cis and trans isomer. Distinguish between cis and trans isomers. Now, in our 10th class, we have studied about alkenes. Alkenes are double bonded carbon, means alkene are unsaturated hydrocarbons. Clear? Now, suppose I have a molecule like this. Now, what is the difference between these two molecules? Here, this carbon is attached with hydrogen and chlorine. This carbon is attached with hydrogen and chlorine. This carbon is also attached with hydrogen and chlorine. This carbon is also attached with hydrogen and chlorine. So, what is the difference between these two structures? The difference is the structure of the arrangement of the atoms. Here, hydrogen is upside, chlorine is downward. Here, hydrogen is downward and chlorine is upside. When we have similar atom in similar side, if we have similar atom in both the carbon in the same side, then it is known as cis isomer. And if we have same atoms in the opposite direction, then it is known as trans isomer. Cis common, C common, C cis. So if we have common atoms at the common side, then it is cis, otherwise it is trans. So how we can distinguish between cis and trans isomer? In this, the dipole moment is toward chlorine. Here the dipole moment is toward chlorine. So the net dipole moment becomes downward. In this, the dipole moment is towards chlorine. The dipole moment is towards chlorine. So both the dipole moment cancel each other, as a result of which net dipole moment becomes 0. So if we have cis and trans isomer, and if we want to distinguish cis isomer from trans isomer, then we calculate the dipole moment of those isomers. If we get zero dipole moment for a particular isomer, then it should be trans. And if we are not getting zero dipole moment, if we are getting some value of dipole moment, then the cis isomer is there. Now, the fourth application is distinguish between ortho, meta and para isomers. Now these isomers you get in benzene. Benzene also you have studied in 10th class, C6H6. So here is the structure of benzene. Now suppose if I add chlorine here is the structure of benzene. Double bond and single bond are in alternation. Now suppose if I add one chlorine here, if I add one chlorine here, or if I add one chlorine here, then what is the difference in these three structures? That is simply the arrangement of the other Cl. Now what happens in this case? In this case, when the second atom is present just adjacent to the first atom, then the position is ortho. This position is ortho. When here it is meta and one opposite, then it is para. When the second atom is present at the adjacent of the first atom, that is ortho. Here meta, and if opposite, then para. If adjacent, ortho. If opposite, para. If in between ortho and para, then it is meta. So in this case, these two are ortho position, these two are meta position, and this one is para position with respect to this chlorine. So how we can distinguish between these three structures? In this, the dipole moment is towards chlorine. Here also dipole moment is towards chlorine. In this, the dipole moment is towards chlorine. Here also the dipole moment is towards chlorine. In this, towards chlorine. So if I look para, in para, the dipole moment are exactly opposite to each other. And because CCl bond, so same bond, same magnitude, different direction, so the dipole moment is equals to 0. So if we are getting dipole moment, then it is surely para isomer. But if we are not getting 0, it may be ortho, it may be para. Then how we can distinguish between meta and para? In this, the resultant vectors are like this. And in meta, the resultant vectors are like this. So there is a gap in these two, as a result of which their net resultant dipole moment is less than that of the ortho. So in meta, the dipole moment is less than that of the ortho. So if we are getting zero dipole moment, then it is para. If we are not getting zero dipole moment, then it should be ortho or meta. But if we are getting more dipole moment, then it is ortho. And if we are getting less dipole moment, then it is meta. So in this way, we can use dipole moment for calculation of the polarity of the bond, for identification of the symmetry of the molecule, for the distinguish between cis and trans isomer, and for the distinguish between ortho, meta and para isomer. So students, that's all about the dipole moment. I'll see you in my next video with the new topics.